This week's news from the tubes and F5 Live is proudly powered by Malwarebytes. Whether you use a PC, a Mac, or a mobile device, Malwarebytes Premium is the company's strongest protection ever. It fights threats that traditional antivirus software can't stop, like worms, rogues, dialers, and a whole lot more. Plus, it allows you to use your computer and mobile devices with confidence and peace of mind. To learn more and to get a special price, you can go to f5live.tv/malwarebytes. All right, so this story is a little different than what we usually cover, although it is in the privacy and security category, which does make it right up our alley for this section. There are a lot of dating scams happening right now. Obviously, we have always said in a variety of different ways, anytime people congregate in a place, people will take advantage of it, right? Apple for years said, look, we're the best platform because there's no malware. And it was because they were selling 3 computers a year. And so there was no value to attacking Apple's platform. Now people actually use the computers, they've got the phones, and so malware has started to show up on those platforms. And the same thing is happening on dating apps right now. More and more people are heading in that direction. Obviously, the last 2 years of lockdowns and isolation and loneliness have drawn a lot more people over to dating apps. And as people are getting more comfortable in the real world, they're wanting to meet people. And so things like Tinder, Bumble, or even the straight up hookup apps have become real popular. And so instead of a Nigerian prince email, you're now getting these dating app scams. And we've got a couple of them to talk about. And I can tell you from personal experience that both of these are happening. I have seen both of them in action literally this week. So the first one is a cryptocurrency scam. It's a really interesting one and detailed. What'll happen is, let's say you're on Tinder and you match with somebody and they seem interesting, they seem interested, you have a good back and forth, but something feels a little off. But you figure, okay, I've matched with somebody from Asia who has just moved here to the United States, so maybe it's the language barrier, right? So you get to talking, you get real comfortable with them, they get clingy real quick, and then they start talking about what they do for a living. Usually, in my experience, it's either finance or import-export, and they're going to talk to you about cryptocurrency. Now, that should be your first flag. Because in my experience, people who talk too much about cryptocurrency in general can be a little annoying. But in this case, they're going to tell you that they care about you a lot, and they're making a lot of money using this platform. And so they want you to be able to participate. And they're going to send you a screenshot. We've got a screenshot over on the website. If you go to PLUGHITZlive.com, you'll get to see what the screenshot will look like. It will always be from a mobile device. It's a blue, it's a dark screen with a white rounded corner box with another white rounded corner box over top. And it's going to show that they just made a bunch of money. The example that I have shows that they made 75 grand in one trade. Now, here's the thing. The platform they're using doesn't exist. It is all garbage. The way it works is that you go and you buy a particular cryptocurrency on somewhere legitimate. Coinbase, Crypto.com, whatever. And then you transfer it to the wallet on this trading platform. Sarcasm quotes for those of you who are just listening. Trading platform. And your new match, your new love that you've connected with on Tinder or Bumble or whatever, will tell you, start small, do something small. I do this all day. I watch the numbers and I'll tell you when to hit go. If you hit go when they tell you to, you're going to win. It's going to show that you made some money. If you do it on your own, you won't. And the reason is because they hit a button in the back end that says, make it a win. And that's what happens. And then, you get a success. You see, ooh, I made like 15% return. Well, maybe next time I'll put some more money in. And so you build up, you build up, you build up. The thing is, this isn't a trading platform. There is no way to get your money back. When you try to do a withdraw, they come up with rules that are nowhere on their platform. You need to verify yourself. Send us a picture of your driver's license. Do not send them a picture of your driver's license. Oh, you don't have enough money on the platform. You can't withdraw until you have $7,500 on the platform. Why? Well, because they're just trying to get you to trick you into putting more money in the platform. Don't do it. All of it's nonsense. I have a couple of links on the website. In my experience, and I'll tell you, this is so common that I am seeing about 4 of these a week right now. The domain is different. I've seen several different domains. The 3 that I have listed here on the article, all 3 of them don't exist anymore. They've all been taken down probably by their hosts. But they always end in .vip as their top level domain. My experience is .vip is almost always a scam. I did one of those, top level domain scanners, and .vip seems to have about a 3% legitimacy rating, and everything else is scams.
So in other words, if you're running a business and you're looking for a website, don't register a .vip because it will look bad.
Exactly. .vip, and unfortunately for Google, .xyz has a 6% legitimacy rating. And that 6% are only the ones owned by Google, it seems like.
I can name you a .xyz site that is actually very legit.
Okay.
And is not owned by Google.
Okay. However, so we've got one.
I got one. It's a really good one too.
Okay.
Although we have a chart with some of this information on Tom's Hardware, but
excellent.
The premier place to get the pinout for your Raspberry Pi is pinout.xyz.
Excellent.
It is. I'm not sure who runs it, but it's been around a long time. And not only do they have the pinout for the regular 40-pin Raspberry Pi, but they have like the pin usage for a lot of the major hats, and just
nice.
They've got like a lot of nice data there, and like a lot of things that devices that I've gotten and things I've gotten from Raspberry Pi specifically have printed on them like, want information, go to pinout.xyz. So
nice.
Okay,
and so that's an example.
That's an
example, right? That's an example of that. Just because it's .xyz or .vip doesn't guarantee that it's a scam. I think they were 3%. I think they were 3% and 6%. But if you're looking
Pinout
to
is
register,
actually run by Phil Howard, who is developer for Pimoroni.
Okay.
Strangely, as it turns out, and I just found this out, Phil is going to be a guest on my show tomorrow, talking about some other stuff, talking about some other new Pimoroni stuff. But anyway, yeah. So it's run by someone from Pimoroni, but a very trustworthy resource. Anyway, it's an exception.
Possible. Yeah, it's also possible that XYZ has gotten better. The last time I scanned XYZ, I think, was a year ago. So it may have gotten better in that time, but it got hit real hard up front. And VIP seems to have been hit hard just in general. I don't know if the domains are just cheap to register or what it is. But yeah. If somebody sends you a .vip domain on Tinder or Bumble, run away. No matter what it is.
Right.
But also, it's also important to note that they're also going to ask you to move to WhatsApp. And I'm going to tell you why. WhatsApp runs on phone numbers. And most people are not me and don't have a dozen plus Google Voice numbers with area codes all over the country. that are not used for their two-factor authentication or recovery information for email, banking, things like that. So if you switch over to WhatsApp, well, now they have your phone number. And so now there are certain ways that you can do SIM card attacks and things like that to get text messages for two-factor authentication. So now maybe they can get into your bank account. So none of this, no part of this is good. Do not, and this is not even part of the article, do not switch to WhatsApp in a conversation from a dating app without it being based on some random Google Voice number that you have created just for this.
So how can them sending you a text message allow them to use two-factor authentication for your bank account?
So there are ways. There are what are called SIM hijack attacks, I think is what it's called, where they can actually get in between the carrier and your SIM card and grab text messages out of the network. I do not know how it works. I'm not going to pretend to have any idea how it works. I just know that it is becoming more and more common, and it can be done with a little board that I have sitting in my desk out in the office. But I do not understand how it works. I'm not going to pretend to have any idea. But now that everybody is running on SIMs, now that even Sprint is not CDMA since they're LTE now, everybody's on SIMs, so all the carriers have the ability to be vulnerable to this. I don't know how it works. I just know it's possible. Now, is it common? No. But is it possible? Yes. And so giving that information out to a possible, or in this case, guaranteed scammer, bad idea. Anyway, so don't do this. No part of this is good. I personally, in a research project, went a little ways into this process to be able to see how it works. And it is detailed and fascinating, and it could easily fall for it because all of it looks legitimate on the surface, except that the domain is .vip. On the surface, every part of this looks legitimate if you just assume that you're talking to somebody who has just moved here from China or Hong Kong. The English is going to be a little broken, and all of that is going to make it seem a little more legitimate. Don't fall for it. And it is happening a lot. I did some research, and I saw people getting this on Tinder, on Bumble, on Grindr, and there was one other major dating or hookup platform where this was happening. So
wouldn't just basic common sense be the guiding principle here anyway? Like, you don't want to take financial advice, or give out personal information to a stranger. If you meet someone if you're talking to someone online and you want to see if they're legit, I think the least thing that you could do is try to arrange a video chat with them, which they could still be fooling you, but there's at least somewhat of a higher bar there that they have to at least, show up for that.
Sure.
And even so you shouldn't give out information to someone. If you find secure ways to chat with them, don't give out your phone number. So I guess giving out your phone number even these days might be a problem, because if they could use the number to intercept your 2FA. So
I do everything through a Google Voice number. That's why I have a dozen or more of them in different area codes.
So right. So if you're dating, maybe use a different phone number for calls.
Right.
And don't give out any financial information. Don't get any financial advice.
Mm-hmm.
don't take any financial advice from anyone. Uh, Assume, trust but verify, I guess. And
Right.
if you're, and try to take someone to a level where they have to be a little more honest with you.
Right.
Video chat, maybe, eventually meet in person somewhere public or whatever. But
Yep.
like, you got to build up, you know, I don't know, if people lost their mind. I mean, you got to build up a trust for people. I mean, has nobody watched Catfish?
Right? I know. So in my research for this, I found a couple of forums where people report fraud on domains, similar to the phone number lookups, where you get a phone call, like Truecaller, right? But for
Mhm.
domains, where you can go and see people talking about problems with domains, and all three of these had people talking, and all of them had people who had been scammed out of at least $35,000 each.
See, that's really not smart. I mean, granted, there were people who were not smart and gave information to who they thought was a Nigerian prince years ago. So
Right.
I guess there's a sucker born every minute, but like, don't, these people that you meet online are strangers.
Right.
Do not trust strangers. Like,
Yeah.
yes, you
And in
can meet
fairness,
people and you can,
in
yeah.
fairness, you're not giving them information, at least not as far as you know. You're signing up for a trading platform on which you can make money, and because cryptocurrency is so foreign to most people, they don't understand how it works, and so this is a clever place to trick people who are kind of new to cryptocurrency, even people who aren't, who do understand it a little bit. I saw people getting scammed for tens of thousands.
I
So
would not take financial advice from somebody that I met on a dating service, period.
yeah,
Unless we had been like met in person and been dating for a few months,
right.
I would not,
And you know that their
I,
lifestyle is what they say it is.
yes, I would not take financial, just don't, no matter what it is. Like, if
Yeah.
they tell you to, you know, open a bank account somewhere, buy a bond, buy a stock, don't listen. You don't know this person,
Right.
okay? And
Yeah.
if the first thing that they want to do is give you financial advice, then they're not a good match for you,
True.
because they want something out of you right away. That's not good. They're trying to
Oh,
be your
but
friend. No,
but Avram,
nobody is a friend that way.
they they're having so much success with this, and they want you to have success too. That's the ploy. That's the
Yeah,
trick. It I'm
yeah.
This works so well for me, and I want good things for you as well. And if you do this, you'll have good things too. But obviously meeting is the best way to verify that a person is a person, right? And that's where
Yeah.
our second interesting new scam comes from. I have encountered this one once so far, but I cannot imagine that it is the end, and I'll tell you why. It's a dating verification scam. Now, this one preys on the human nature that we were just talking about, right? Where I don't know you. I have no reason to trust you. Wouldn't it be great if there was a way to verify that you are not a serial killer or something? Right? There's been jokes about it on TV shows for years. And in fact, we actually interviewed a company at Collision in 2018, not for dating, but that actually does something like this in real life. But the problem is, this one is not in real life. So what you'll do is you'll meet somebody on a dating app, on a hookup app, whatever. You talk for a little while, they want to meet, but they don't trust you. I need you to verify that you're you, and they're going to send you a link. Now, I have lots of links for this particular scam because this has been going on apparently for a little while, but it's heating up right now. I think I have a dozen different domains that I was able to find that all fall under this same scam. The website looks super legit. It looks like it's built on WordPress. It is not. It is actually a hard-coded site. There are a couple of things right off the bat when you get there that are going to make you go, The phone number at the top has the area code 300, which is a New York area code, but the phone number is not in US format. It is 343 instead of 334, which is the way we write the phone number here in the United States. There's no parentheses, there's no dots, there's no nothing. It's a +1, a space, 3 digits, space, 4 digits, space, 3 digits, which is not the US formatting for a phone number. So that's number one. The email address is the exact same as the domain at gmail.com. Now, some companies use Gmail or Yahoo or whatever, but in general, it's a bad idea. And if it's the only red flag, maybe it's okay. But combined with some other red flags, let's see. Smarthookups.com or smarthookups@gmail.com. No, that's something's that combined with the phone number and a couple other things are a problem. So I went a little further. Because when I got this, I'm like, oh, no part of this could possibly be real. Before I even went to the website, I'm like, no part of this is real. So at the bottom, there was an address, but it's not a real address because it's two addresses. It was like 251 to 253. So two buildings, whatever, New York, So I went and I searched that address and I searched the phone number, and that's how I found all the other domains because all of them are identical. The domains are exactly the same except for the hero image on the homepage, which is different based on who they're targeting. Some of them are targeting the LGBT community directly. Some are targeting financial institutions, but the text itself, identical right down to the typos. So I've got all those domains that we found on the website. Obviously, don't sign up for anything like this because it's going to need a lot of information. How do you verify that you're you without giving them a lot of information? The fact that it just so happens to coincide with the information that's required to steal your identity? Don't worry about that. It obviously is on the up and up. Clearly sarcasm. All of this is terrifying, and once again, preying on a human desire. The first one is the desire to make easy money. This one is on the human nature of not trusting somebody. So it's the other side of it, right? The first one is all about building trust, and this one's all about people who don't trust you right off the bat. So I've got a ton of information on this. What I'm interested in is how many other people are experiencing this. I know I'm not alone because, like I said, on the first one, I found hundreds of posts about these domains and about these scams. But our viewers, have you experienced either of these particular scams? And do you have domains that are different than the 15 or so that we have listed between the two scams here? Please let us know in the comments, whether it be on the website or on YouTube or Twitch or wherever you are. Tell us your story. We definitely want to share this. The more information we have, the easier it'll be to help other people, and the easier it is that this article will come up when people search for this if they're feeling like it's sleazy. We want people to see a thing that says, this is a dating scam. If they search for one of these domains, that is our ultimate goal. So definitely help us out with that. If you go over to the article, as we all know, that in some ways helps the page rank. So definitely go check out the article so we can try and get this thing trending and share it. Let your friends know. Let your single friends know that this is happening, because that second one in particular seems like the kind of thing that would be super easy to fall for because it's human nature to not trust people. So hopefully we can prevent other people from falling for this. And that is my pitch, Abram.
I mean, that's great. When you were talking about those websites, all I could think is how successful would these scammers be if they were just a little bit better at web design,
Right?
right? Like, I mean, you could really do well if you checked, like, if they hired. I mean, I'm not volunteering or anything, but if they hired an American person, like an American web designer, to check the grammar and spelling on their site,
Yeah.
to check things like the phone number that seems foreign, to,
Especially since it's
you
right
know,
at the top of the website. It's the top. We've all seen the
right,
modern WordPress sites where there's the bar across the top with the phone number and the email,
right. I mean,
and the phone
why
number's
couldn't
in
they
the
make
wrong
a real
format.
WordPress is free. They could have made a real WordPress site. Like, they didn't need to hard code it. So they could have made a real WordPress site. They could
Mm-hmm.
have put a phone number on it that was in American format. They could have checked the
WordPress would
spelling.
format it. WordPress would format it correctly for the country that it's for.
Yeah, they could have not used a Gmail address, right? They could have
Right?
just used an address at the domain, like support at whatever the domain name is, right? I
Or
mean,
if they wanted to look super modern, which is of course what this is trying to be, right? Look, this is a new modern way to verify somebody's identity. You go with hi at or hello at, because that's like the trendy thing to do with startups right now. Hi at safedatingmatters.com. And people would be like, yeah, this is a startup.
right. Yeah, I mean, it sounds. Yeah, I'm looking at the safe dating matters right now. First of all, there's a lot of problems with, like, it's funny how poor web design kind of tells you that a site is not good, because, like, again, how easy would it be? Now, I wonder, I'm looking at this, they have an address uh, at West 37th Street in New York City.
Yes.
Like, that's
So,
4 blocks from my office, I should tell you.
really?
Yes, something like that, right? Because we are at 135 West 41st Street, and this is 221-223 West 37th Street. Uh, so,
Number two.
if this is number two, which is a little weird, because what number two usually, well, it depends. Maybe they're using numbers like that in that building. That would imply it was on the first floor.
So
Uh,
the
that
first
could be an
floor.
apartment building.
So the first floor, I know a lot about this building. The first
Really? Have you
floor.
looked this up already?
Oh yes, I know a lot about this building. The first floor
Oh, okay.
is a designer, like a private clothing designer, like outlet, like sample sales type store. The second floor is a wedding boutique, an appointment only wedding boutique. Which, by the way, their email address, if y'all are listening from the wedding boutique, your email address is at yahoo.com. I just said that that's a flag. You should fix that. Anyway, and then the third floor up is apartments.
Yeah, so
So,
it could very well be someone's apartment in that
yeah.
building.
Or it
It
could be
could very well be
nonsense.
yes, or it could be non-existing. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a real apartment address of somebody associated with this
Could be.
uh, scam. I mean, I
I
gotta give them
wouldn't.
some props in that
I would
something like the
associate it with
membership.
somebody else.
Yes, if I were them, I would too. But they obviously did a lot of things wrong here. I mean, some of the things, I mean, like the way they have the layout here for the, like, different membership plans with the check
Mhm.
marks or whatever, that looks like something you'd see on a real service.
Sure. And
However,
when it says things like connect Alexa or Google Home to send help using Juice Your Voice.
On the other hand, little things like they colored the welcome to safe dating matters with the word, the welcome is the same, is black on a dark background.
Uh-huh. That's
So,
because not all the sites have a dark background.
oh, so they just use the same thing. Right, okay. So,
It's just the hero images that are different. Other than that, right down to the membership plans, it's the exact same images.
also, I want to know, for example, helping victims register and donate 50% of the payments to Harassment Victims Community Foundation. I want to know if that's a legit, that's a real
Where do
organization.
you see that?
Okay, I'm looking at Safe Dating Matters. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
folks,
That's
for
where.
watching this live. You might also look at this, but I'm going to do it in incognito browser because I have no idea. This is clearly a scam. But if you go down to the Why Choose Us section in the middle of the page,
On the
it
homepage?
says helping
Or the membership
victims.
plan?
Yes.
Okay.
No, the homepage.
Okay.
Helping victims register and donate 50% to the payments of Harassment Victims Community Foundation, HVCF.
Okay. So here's
What
what's
are the
interesting.
chances that's a legit
I
charity?
have I have encountered that name before. I flagged that. Um, sorry, my light is going on and off in the office. I flagged that somewhere. Oh, I just found a new. I just found a new article that I've not encountered before about this because of that.
Right. There's one that says Grinder users targeted by scammers claiming to be victims of. Right. So the websites will be generated to harass an organization which does not exist. Right. So, uh, right. So a site called Pink News Co. UK
Yeah.
says that Harassment Victims Community Foundation does not exist. And I have to say, Googling it, I don't see a Harassment Victims Community Foundation. All I see are other sites probably run by the same people saying that they give 50%
Uh
of the
huh.
payments to Harassment Victims Community Foundation, which
Yes.
I don't even know what Harassment Victims Community Foundation would do if they existed.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. That. That's interesting. I missed that when I was doing the research on this. Otherwise, I would have come across this Pick News article. Interesting. So this has been that particular fake fund has been around since at least. Oh, interestingly, that was published November 12th, 2019. So just over 2 years. Um, so something else has been using that as part of its scam for at least 2 years. Now, here's the thing. One of the domains that I have listed, LGBTSafetySecuritySystem.com, that one is slightly different than all of the other ones. Its fave icon is different than all the other ones. It's got a blue icon instead of a green one, and its email address is at Outlook, not at Gmail, and it's not the same as the domain. And it's got the year 2018 in it. So it actually lets us know how long that's been running.
Uh, my final thought on this is: have you ever seen the movie Amazon Women on the Moon?
No, but I
Okay,
feel like I need to.
okay, hilarious movie from the 80s.
Okay.
It was a bunch of vignettes. It was just a bunch of really funny vignettes. The framing story of the Amazon Women on the Moon actually has very little to do with the movie. It's so
Okay.
there are all these little like funny vignettes, and one of them, which I'm sure is on YouTube somewhere, so I will send it to you, is with Steve Gutenberg and Rosanna Arquette. And Steve Gutenberg calls up Rosanna Arquette for a date, and she's like, before we go out, though, I need your driver's license and a major credit card. And she goes and she calls this service up that's called like Find a Creep or something like that. And it sends her a fax of like all the
So that
things
ages it.
that have happened on his previous dates or whatever with people. And so he's like, oh, I thought we had something really special here. And she's like, according to the fax, you've said that 50 times. Uh, do you remember this person? You had a date with her and you never called her again. Like,
Oh,
it's like a whole record of his dating life. So when I see this, it makes me think of that skit
so there's an
where somehow,
so there's an
yeah,
episode of Boston Legal that has a very similar plot, except that they are defending, or they're the prosecution for somebody who was wrongly accused of something on a site, like a crowdsourcing, a Yelp style site for dating. So, I mean,
yeah,
the idea of checking up on somebody ahead of time has always existed, even before the internet, right? You'd oftentimes be set up or whatever. There were ways to contact people and call around and do sleuthing. Obviously, Google and Facebook and Twitter and things have made things a little easier. This scam is all about trying to pretend that they've made it even a little easier. So the takeaway is, it doesn't matter whether it's a mobile app or a website or what it is, right? New platforms and being an early adopter to things comes with some responsibility. If you've never heard of the platform and you're not ready or not willing to go do a ton of research on it before signing up, then you should not be an early adopter to platforms, because so many of them are this. There are, at some point, Facebook was 6 members, right? But there were ways to check that. The early members all knew each other, and it grew out naturally. The early adopters had to do research. They had to find Zuckerberg himself or one of their friends who had talked to him before it gained traction. So just, if you don't know the platform, you have to look it up and do your due diligence. If there's no information on it, you probably don't want to be an early adopter. And it doesn't matter what the platform is. We've talked about, apps that ask for too much information on a mobile device and things like that. But this really can get scary, and get scary real quick. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell, because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.